Welcome back to Squawk Box. The Anti-Defamation League is hosting a summit in New York City this morning with leaders in business and other sectors focusing on addressing rising anti-Semitism in the United States. For more on all this, I want to welcome Anti-Defamation League CEO and National Director Jonathan Greenblatt. Jonathan, it's great to see you. Tell us about the impetus for what this summit is, what it's about, and what you're trying to do here.
Well, when we started this conference, it's called Never Is Now. Back in 2016, we had maybe 400 plus people who came together at the Grand Hyatt here in New York to have a venue to talk about the rise of anti-Semitism we were seeing then. In the ensuing years, Andrew, it's become an onslaught. And now today, this conference Never Is Now, we have almost 4,000 people gathering at the Javits Center to talk about this tsunami of hate. And what's interesting is its diversity. We have Republicans and Democrats, Orthodox Jews and Reform Jews, business people and community activists, all attending workshops and panels. We have over 100 speakers, all focusing on how do we get through this moment? How do we address this rising tide of hate that affects everyone?
Now, let me ask you this, Jonathan. You know, the other side of this, and I get emails from folks, and we've had you on the broadcast many, many times, and they say, you know, you have Jonathan on, and you talk about anti-Semitism, but you don't talk enough about the humanitarian crisis that's taking place with the Palestinians. And why don't you push more on that issue? And if you understood that issue better, you'd understand why there is this hate out there. Now, I'm Jewish, so I always say that there's a conflation here that's going on. But I'm curious how you react to that.
Well, it's hard to answer that almost with a straight face. And in your defense, Andrew, that you're Jewish doesn't make you collectively responsible for everything the Israeli government does, nor does it make me. I mean, can you imagine if during the rise of Asian hate back in 2020, when Asian Americans were being assaulted in the street, if someone wrote to you and said, why aren't you covering what's happening to the Uyghur people in Xinjiang? I mean, again, you can have strong feelings about what communist China is doing, but that doesn't justify hate here in America. You can have strong feelings about what the Israeli government is doing, but does that justify vandalizing a synagogue, spitting on college students because they happen to be Jewish? I mean, are people that morally depraved that they lack the kind of clarity and common sense to realize holding American Jews responsible for things you don't like around the world is textbook anti-Semitism? It's bigotry, plain and simple.
Well, let me ask you then a related question, which is I've talked to a number of CEOs, some Jewish, some not, who have talked about trying to put anti-Semitism programs in place at their companies. And some of them say they are fearful of doing so. I don't know if you've heard something like this before privately, where people say, look, you know, if we can do it, but we have to do it in a very particular way, and we can't push it too far. If we push it too far, we're going to have people who are going to come out again on this other side, this two sides issue, and say, well, this is unfair that you're not speaking enough about, again, these other humanitarian issues. There's fears that consumers are going to come after them. It's fascinating to hear the sort of private back and forth.
You can't be afraid of the bigots and the bullies. I mean, we learned this in kindergarten, and it still applies today. If your company is looking at fighting all forms of hate, racism or homophobia, and you don't address anti-Semitism, when Jews are the most targeted religious minority, I would ask you what you're thinking, but even more importantly, when you make these decisions, and, you know, to reference those pathetic university presidents, you say, well, they're context dependent. Before the Hamas massacre in Israel, before 10/7, 2022 and 2023 were the worst years we saw in anti-Semitism. Look, and it may come from the anti-Zionist left, it may come from the white supremacist right, but it's never okay. So to those CEOs who say to me, can we really take this on? My response is, how can you not? And if you let, like, the thin fringe bully you into saying, oh, wow, well, this is political. There is nothing political about protecting your employees. Period.
But you've had those conversations. So what? But just tell us about the conversation. I'm curious what you've heard from CEOs who either push back on you or say, you know what, Jonathan, I'd love to try to do something, but they sort of then are a little wishy-washy about what they're doing.
I hear that. Look, leadership is not about being led, it's about leading. This is why we're recognizing Accenture CEO Julie Sweet today at our conference, Andrew. We're giving her our Courage Against Hate Award. And she's a good example. I mean, again, very large global employee, diverse workforce spread across different countries. And they have stood up clearly and unequivocally, not just against anti-Semitism, but all forms of hate. Last night, we had Apollo CEO Mark Rowan, who was interviewed by Elliott Management's executive Dan Senor. And Mark talked about moral clarity. So when I get asked by a CEO, how do I handle this? I talk about people like Julie Sweet or Albert Bourla or Mark Rowan, and I remind them that the path to doing the right thing, it might not be easy, but being a CEO isn't easy. And yes, you have a fiduciary responsibility,
Jonathan,
but also a moral one.
We're going to hear from the president this evening, who I believe is going to speak about what's happening in the Middle East and specifically in Israel and what's happening with the Palestinians. What do you want to hear? Or by me even asking you that question, is that a conflation of the issue that you're trying to work on?
Well, look, it is hard to ignore the humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza. And so, yeah, I'm focused every single day in fighting hate for the Jewish community, fighting hate against the black community. This is my focus. But I get why you would ask me that question. I mean, it is the State of the Union. So what do I want to hear from the president? Number one, I want to hear moral clarity about the butchers and barbarians from Hamas. So many other world leaders haven't shown what Joe Biden has. And then number two, I want him to recognize the humanitarian disaster happening there. But let's not lose the fact, Andrew, that while every innocent life needs to be mourned, we also need to understand why is it happening. And if Hamas released the hostages today, it would be over before you know it.
Jonathan, I want to thank you. Wish you well with the summit and look forward to seeing you again very, very soon.
Always good to see you.
When we come back,